So what happens when a promise takes like almost 25 years to actually happen? Today we're going to dive into this incredible story from Genesis 17. It's all about profound patience, a really long silence from God, we're talking 13 years, and a promise that literally changed everything. Okay, so look at this timeline. It's kind of staggering when you let it sink in. God calls Abram when he's 75. But by the time our story picks up, he's 99 years old. That's a 24-year journey. And get this, for 13 of those years, right after his son Ishmael was born, there's been nothing, just complete silence from God. 13 years. Can you even imagine? 13 years without a single word. At that point, any reasonable hope for that promised child, the one from his wife Sarah, it would have been long gone. I mean, it's just impossible, right? And it's right there, at what feels like a total breaking point, that God shows up again to set the stage for one of the most important covenants in history. And God kicks things off by introducing a new name for himself, El Shaddai. That's God Almighty. And look, this is way more than just a name. It's a statement. He's basically saying, hey, what I'm about to promise, it's going to blow past every single human limitation you can think of, especially your age. So God doesn't just quietly break the silence. He comes back with a bang, just massively expanding on his original promises. He lays out this huge, almost unbelievable future for Abram. We're talking about being the father of many nations, kings coming from his line, getting all this land, and having this direct personal relationship with God forever. It's the whole shebang. Now, to make all this real, to make it tangible, God does something pretty remarkable. He doesn't just give them a bunch of words and promises. He gives Abram and his wife a brand new identity, something they can actually grow into. And you can see the shift right here. Abram, his original name, it meant exalted father, which, sounds pretty good, but it's a limited role. His new name, Abraham, just completely blows that up. It redefines his entire destiny on a global scale, father of many nations. And it's not just him. His wife, Sarai, gets a similar upgrade. Her name goes from something really personal and kind of possessive, my princess, to the universal Sarah, which means mother of nations. This is huge because it pulls her right into the center of the plan. She's not just a bystander anymore. So you see, this is so much more than just a name change, right? God is literally speaking a new reality into existence. He's defining their future, not by their circumstances, old and childless, but by the promise of who they are going to become. Okay, so you've got this incredible spiritual promise. How do you seal it? How do you make it real? Well, it's grounded in a physical sign, a very demanding one. This is where faith gets tangible. The sign is circumcision, and we have to understand this wasn't just some ritual or ceremony. It was a permanent physical mark. It signified belonging to God's community, being set apart. It was the covenant literally etched into their bodies. And the rules for it were super specific, which actually reveals just how big this covenant was. What's really interesting is that it wasn't just limited to family, to bloodline. It included everyone in the household, even servants bought with money. For that time, that was a radically inclusive idea. It's signaling that this is a community built on faith, not just genetics. But this physical act, it was always pointing to something deeper, a spiritual idea, the circumcision of the heart. And what does that mean? Well, it's about cutting away all the stuff that gets in the way, like self-reliance, pride, stubbornness, so you can live in total trust and obedience to God. So, how does Abraham take all this in? He gets a new name, an impossible promise, and a pretty painful command. His reaction is just so human, and it tells us a ton about what faith really truly looks like. So when God tells him specifically that he's going to have a son with Sarah, his first reaction, privately, is to laugh. And I mean, can you blame him? It's not a mean laugh. It's a laugh of pure disbelief. It's the only logical response when you're almost 100 years old and your wife is 90. He even tries to offer God a plan B, a more realistic path. He's basically like, hey God, how about we just have the blessing go through my son Ishmael? He's right here. He's trying to make God's promise fit into what makes sense to him. But God's like, nope, my plan is my plan. And then, in this amazing, almost playful twist, he tells Abraham to name the son Isaac, which literally means he laughs. God takes Abraham's moment of doubt and builds it right into the name of the promise itself, basically saying, I'm going to turn that laugh of disbelief into a laugh of pure joy. And this is where we see the really stunning contrast, okay? Because even with all that internal doubt, that laughter, Abraham shows complete and immediate obedience on the outside. He fully follows through on that difficult, painful command of circumcision. Think about it. He's 99 years old. He doesn't wait. He doesn't try to reason his way out of it. He doesn't make excuses. He just does it on that very day. And that really shows us that his faith wasn't about having zero doubts. It was defined by his actions, by his commitment to obey anyway. So what's the big takeaway from all this? I think it's this. Maybe real faith isn't about getting your prayers answered instantly or about never ever having doubts. Maybe it's about the transformation that happens on the journey. It's about learning to walk with the one who makes the promises, even when the promise itself feels like it's a lifetime away.